All right, y'all, we are back with another video. And before we start, please put prayers for Donald Trump in the comment section. We must protect President Trump at all times. And it brings me to this video where we got stolen valor, Tim Waltz. You know, how do this make veterans feel who actually served in the military, who really fought for this country, to have somebody like Tim Waltz sit up here and lie about his military background? I mean, just sit up here and lie. And we heard J.D. Vance call him out on this. Now we hearing reports that he may drop out due to the fact that he lied about being in the military. The thing about, he's supposed to be went to Iraq. He dropped out. When they were getting ready to go, he dropped out and said he was going to get into, I think they said, politics. So this man is a liar. He's a liar. This man is a liar. And this is who Kamala Harris has chosen. A man who let Minneapolis burn to the ground, let rioters just burn the city down. And then Kamala Harris came right behind him, and the people that got caught doing it, she let them go. There is no way you can have Kamala Harris and Tim Waltz run this country. There's no way. Now we hearing even more reports that Obama is pissed off about this. This right here looks really bad, to be trying to lie to veterans, lie to people who actually went to the military and fought for this country, and he's sitting up here lying. Now his own people that was around him that came out and exposed all of these lies Tim Waltz has been spewing. So like I said, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. That way you can stay up to date with everything that's going on. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive straight into this so y'all can see exactly what I'm talking about. Tim Waltz's career is over. Let's go.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, I guess that's just how the internet works, right? No matter who it is, the moment they're announced, pretty much everything's gonna drop. I mean, we remember pretty much the exact same thing when Donald Trump picked J.D. Vance as his running mate. All of a sudden, all the J.D. Vance clips were popping up. And what did they have? The whole cat lady scandal and something about Mountain Dew. Oh no, how horrible. J.D. Vance supports families. What a terrible scandal, but that's what it was back then. Well, now it's Kamala and Tim Waltz's turn, and boy oh boy, I gotta say there's no real comparison here.
Nope.
These are some actual scandals. This is what I'd call skeletons in your closet. Tim Waltz is getting exposed as, frankly, a total fraud. Honestly, it reminds me a little bit of Joe Biden's background. I guess the Democrats are setting a little bit of a trend here. This Tim Waltz guy is a total con man. Let me show you guys the scandals that are being unveiled. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so the Harris-Waltz Democrat ticket here, well, they're starting to develop a brand. So far, they have a couple labels attached to them. That's BLM, violence, pro-crime, socialist. We'll add open border. We'll add cackling just for fun. You know, the labels are there and they are accurate, but I guess now we're adding a couple more labels. As Minnesota Governor Waltz's history is now coming to light, apparently another label that we're tacking on here is now stolen valor. Take a look at this report right over here.
So you try to get this message out, but Minnesota's largest newspaper checks it out, says it's 100% true, but yet refuses to print.
When I hung the phone up, I said, what the hell is this, North Korea?
Back in 2005, a warning order went out to the 1st Battalion, 125th Field Artillery to mobilize for a mission to Iraq. At the time, Walls served as the unit's highest non-commissioned officer, but months later, Walls would retire from the Guard, avoid the deployment, and run for Congress.
Wow.
Tom Behrens was next in line for the position and was asked to take his place.
I was like, well, for Pete's sake, this guy quit. And if I say I'm not going to do it, I mean, what the hell kind of leadership is that? If a company would say that we're going to deploy to Iraq or somewhere and you're going to be gone for whatever amount of time, and then a foreman just says, no, I'm not going. I mean, what does that say to the 500 people that work in that factory?
Behrens would go on to serve in Iraq on a nearly 2-year deployment as a command sergeant major. All while Walls began using that title as a congressman. Behrens says he first contacted Walls with his concerns, sending these letters to Washington. They all went unanswered.
But then we fast forward to the election in 2018 in Minnesota, and you try at that time to get people's attention with this story and also with what seems to be a very misleading statement that he continued to make about his service.
It kind of just sat there. You know, when he was a congressman, he bragged that he was a command sergeant, retired command sergeant major. I'm the highest ranking person ever in the House, and all this lie that he was telling. The state of Minnesota came out after 2018, after this was exposed, and they said, well, he can say that he served as a command sergeant major, but he can't say he's a retired one because he's not.
And that's what he was saying.
And he was saying that, and there was lots of lots of cards coming in the mail, for him to be elected. They said right on there he's a retired command sergeant major, just tooting his own horn, just
a lie.
Hanging on the coattails of people that actually are command sergeant majors that went through all the process and put all the time in.
A spokesperson for the Minnesota National Guard said Waltz wasn't able to retire as a command sergeant major since he failed to complete coursework and requirements related to the rank. Verified documents show the Army corrected his service record. Waltz was reduced in rank to an E8 Master Sergeant after retirement and his conditional promotion. Alpha News again asked Governor Waltz if he's using the Command Sergeant Major rank on his campaign website for political gain this year. A spokesperson said this has been in the news before and pointed us to a past story where Waltz said, quote, normally this type of partisan political attack only comes from one who's never worn a uniform.
It's stolen valor is really what it is. I don't know of anybody else that's done what he's done.
So Tim Waltz apparently, according to his own Army colleagues, people who served with him, well, he's apparently lying about his rank and how he left the Army.
He's lying about his rank and how he left the Army, saying he's a retired this, and he's a liar. How did you retire when you left them hanging? You dropped out. And now where have Tim Waltz been trying to do? Trying to use this so-called military background for political gain. That's exactly what he's trying to do. Kamala Harris, she knew this. This right here just goes to show you how corrupt Kamala Harris is. This is information that she know. If you know that this man was like that he literally dropped out, left his squad hanging for them to go to Iraq. At the last minute, they getting ready to go to Iraq, and he just said, you know what, I can't do this no more. At the last minute. That's a person you think that can help you run this country, Kamala Harris? I mean, come on. This man is the farthest leftist I know. Think about it. He lied about his military background. He's not a retired veteran. He's none of that. This man, he's trying to put himself in the same category as people, who really put in the work. As veterans who really put in the work, who really earn a rank. He's trying to put himself in their position, which he can't do that. They finished the job. He bagged out and left them hanging and had to be replaced. And this is who Kamala Harris picked as her vice president. And think about this. He did that, lying about his military background, on top of letting rioters burn down Minneapolis and didn't do anything about it. And then what I said earlier in the video, Kamala come right behind him and let out the criminals who got caught. And you think these two people right here, Kamala Harris and Tim Waltz, can run this country? You got to be kidding me. There's no way. No way. We must get President Trump and J.D. Vance in that White House or we would not have a country. There's no way. His own people that was working with him is exposing him. We see the paperwork. He can't lie about this. J.D. Vance is going to destroy Tim Waltz in a debate. When him and J.D. Vance go head to head, J.D. Vance finna, just wait. He finna destroy him. Talking about people can't carry the same guns he carried when he was in the military. Well, what gun did you carry, Tim, if you dropped out? You didn't even go to Iraq. You dropped out at the last minute, left them hanging, and had to be replaced. They sent letters that wasn't even, didn't nobody even answer the letter. Pretty much probably didn't read it. So what do Tim Waltz want to do? He want to try to use his so-called military background, something he didn't complete, to try to win an election. Boy, I tell you the truth.
Dude straight up refused to be deployed and instead said, I'm running for politics.
Refused to be deployed and say he's running for politics so he can try to lie and try to say he did this and he did that while in the military, and we all know that's a freaking lie.
While at the same time embellishing and flashing his history in serving the country. I'd say there's quite the contrast between him and J.D. Vance, and I'll just let the facts speak for themselves on this one. And I know CNN doesn't want you to know any of this. No, once again, just like Joe Biden, they want you to focus on his uncle-like demeanor. There's just something about him. He looks like America's uncle.
He just looks kind of like everyone's uncle, right? He just has this. He's just kind of has this sort of appeal to him.
How absolutely friggin' cringe.
My God.
Democrats love to claim that the other side is lacking substance in their arguments. They're always focused on the culture wars and all of this nonsense, but it's total projection. Frankly, there's never any substance to almost anything they say, as now the pitch is vote for this stolen Valor fraud and his cackling socialist partner. Because of his appearance, I mean, he's basically like my uncle. And because, I don't know, Kamala Harris would be shattering some sort of metaphorical glass ceiling. Yeah, how about focus on character? Democrats love to talk about character relating to Donald Trump. He's this, that, and the other. I mean, he's the absolute worst, as we already know. But as per usual, the Democrats are throwing rocks while living in a glass house. They're simply a whole lot worse. And we're really continuing to put some context to that. Let's continue with this trip down memory lane. Tim Waltz, everybody's uncle. Oh, the demeanor, oh, the appearance. He just looks so harmless. Yeah, that's the narrative, but Tim's history, again, tells a little bit of a different story.
So do.
Tim Waltz's past DUI arrest for driving 96 miles an hour in a 55 zone comes back to haunt VP.
Wow, look at this. I mean, it's just, the thing is, look how they was attacking J.D. Vance. Remember what they were trying to pull up old clip. Remember when J.D. Vance said this about Donald Trump back in the days? He called Donald Trump this, he called Donald Trump that. But then they picked Tim Waltz. And even J.D. Vance was like, you know what, I made a mistake. You know, I didn't really know him. You know, and I said some things that I shouldn't have said. And J.D. Vance corrected it. But then you got Tim Waltz, who, I mean, this is serious. But somebody lying about their military background, that right there is harsh. That right there is very, very bad. Because that right there will piss off everybody who, all the veterans who really did, you know, take care of business while, you know, fighting for this country. That right there pisses them off while he bagged out at the last minute and trying to say he got this certain type of rank and all of that, trying to lie to the people to get votes. And then now, Tim Waltz passed DUI arrest for driving 96 miles per hour in a 55 zone, comes back to hunt VP pick. Wow. I mean, he like he was trying to take somebody out. You drive. So this man had a DUI, was drunk, driving 96 in a 55 is very, very dangerous. That's very dangerous. You could have, you know, took out a lot of people driving that fast in a 55. But he wants to talk about J.D. Vance. Give me a break, man.
Pick. Here's Tim Waltz's mugshot when he was caught speeding his silver Mazda to 96 miles an hour in a 55 zone on September 23rd, 1995. Apparently, when the trooper approached his window, he detected a strong odor of alcoholic beverage emanating from the vehicle, court documents show. After flunking a field sobriety test, he submitted a breath test, which pegged his blood alcohol level at 0.128%, well above the state's legal limit of 0.08%. So drunk driving and probably speeding in a residential neighborhood. And not just a little over the limit, dangerous, reckless driving speeding. That's who Tim Waltz is. America's uncle. Yeah, apparently America's crackhead uncle. The following March, Waltz pleaded the charges down to reckless driving, which required him to admit that he drove a vehicle in a manner as to indicate an indifference or wanton disregard for the safety of persons or property, according to the court transcript. After accepting the plea agreement, Waltz's lawyer, Russell Hartford, attempted to explain that his client was speeding because he thought the trooper was somebody chasing him, alleging he didn't fire up the light bar in a timely fashion. Yeah, it was the cop's fault that he was drunk driving and racing down a regular road. This is a little bit bizarre, but Mr. Waltz thought someone was chasing him. The officer didn't turn on his red lights, and somebody came up real fast behind him, and he didn't know what they were doing. So he sped up to try to get away, fearing that somebody was after him. Lo and behold, it was the state patrolman behind him. So the faster he went, the faster the state patrol officer went. What a pathetic, obviously dishonest defense.
How are you going to try to say something like that, but then, see the thing about that, if you're going to use something like that, you shouldn't have been drunk. Maybe they've been like, oh, okay, somebody was behind you. Even though I still don't think they would have let you get away, but when you're drunk, you literally drunk, and they smell alcohol, you can't use that. They're going to say, no, you was drunk and you was driving fast. You was impaired. I mean, boy, the lies is just insane.
Yeah, it was the copper's fault. Tim just thought that somebody was chasing him out of nowhere.
Oh,
Who is this
God.
guy? Freaking Al Capone? Who's got enemies everywhere chasing him? Is he some sort of meth head going through a paranoid psychosis event? No, of course not. None of that. He's just obviously a very dishonest man who didn't want to take accountability for his actions. Walls then wound up paying a $200 fine plus court costs. He offered to resign his position as a teacher at the Alliance High School, but the principal talked him out of resigning, the court transcript shows. The judge scolded Walls for driving under the influence, which particularly concerned him given his position as a teacher, yeah, you think, and now potential vice president. This is a real problem for me to see a teacher get picked up for this kind of offense because you do have to be a role model, he said. When the issue of his DUI arrest was raised during Waltz's successful 2006 campaign for Congress in Minnesota, his campaign manager, Kerry Greeley, told Rochester, Minnesota newspaper The Post Bulletin that he wasn't drunk and that he was unable to understand the officer's commands due to hearing loss that he incurred from his time as an artilleryman in the Army National Guard. He couldn't understand what the officer was saying to him. And so, of course, another pathetic excuse. It's again the cop's fault that Tim Waltz was drunk driving and speeding 96 miles an hour down a 55 because he's deaf. This guy obviously has no morals. He's obviously dishonest. What else can I say other than Tim Waltz had a little bit of an unfortunate vice president selection celebration? Not exactly a good look. Stolen valor. He's a total fraud, a total liar. Yep. And that's pretty much the video. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did,
salute to Liberal High Mind. Make sure y'all go subscribe to his channel. Another great video. They just go to show you, man, this was a terrible choice. Even we heard Donald Trump on Fox News. He was saying, hey, she picked Tim Waltz. Oh, I'm happy about that. Because it's so much it's so much that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance can say about him. You know what I'm saying? Like letting the city burn, Minneapolis and Rogers burn down the city, stolen valor. You up here trying to use your military background when you didn't even go to Iraq. You dropped out at the last minute to run for politics, to run in Congress. It's like this man is he's just a liar. He's a liar. So is Kamala Harris. And she's going down for this. Because a lot of people, even on her side, CNN, all of them, they really didn't even want her to pick Tim Waltz. But she went ahead and did it anyway. 2 peas in the pot. So like I said, man, y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Kamala Harris' career is over, man. I mean, there's no coming back for this crap right here. I'm telling you, once it's time to debate, J.D. Vance is going to chew Tim Waltz alive. And Donald Trump is going to chew Kamala Harris alive when it's time to debate. That's why she's been running from these interviews. She only want to talk at the rallies, get in front of the teleprompter, but she would not take questions from the reporters or anything because she knows she's going to be exposed. So like I said, thank you all for watching, especially the ones that made it to the end, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.